This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 58 of the Healthy Critters Radio on Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we discuss getting ready for the fly season. In Tigopedia, we talk about introducing horses to fresh pasture. In Critter Nutrition, we focus on the differences in bovine colostrum. And in Coffee Clatch, we share tips for traveling with dogs. Join us.
Yes, Tiggy.
Patty P, I have concluded my season in Wellington, and as of this afternoon, I'm happily ensconced back in Virginia.
And is there snow on the ground?
In little patches, but basically it's gone. But there's another storm coming this weekend.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness you got home in time. I can't believe you just got home today, so that's quite a feat to get home and then have to do the radio show. But good for you, Tig.
Well, thanks. I was inspired because, as you travel through the states and you start seeing spring, it's so invigorating. The red buds were starting to come out in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And the wisteria was blooming in South Carolina, and it was intoxicating.
Oh, I bet. And then you got up to Virginia and everything still looked dead.
And everything was snow covered.
Yeah.
I mean, really, till I got to Charlottesville, everything was covered in snow.
Yeah.
But, the daffodils are up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the signs of spring, there's green grass.
Well, there's been some warm weather. It's right around the corner. I think it's bursting at the seams. Sometimes March comes in like a lion.
And sometimes it leaves like a lion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a big lion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, so you've got one more storm, and hopefully it'll get nice and warm, and you can get to your garden and be happy to be home.
And when do you get to Virginia?
I will leave the first week in May. So I very smartly am going to wait for all of the any extra, just last minute slaps of winter in Virginia and then get there in May.
Oh, perfect.
I know it will be perfect. So then I just have been constantly packing and then I packed.
That's a big job. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. I've gotten very good at doing this, but as I used to say to my very best friend, I'm like, well, there's a plastic bag, let's fill it. And she's like, no, that's not how you do it. So I've actually gotten very wise about how I do this. And it's nice. I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff along the way, but the biggest thing I always worry about is just traveling with the animals. I'm just doing dogs and cats, no horses. So,
so are you going to have a moving van, or are you going to put it all in a horse trailer and move it yourself?
My horse trailer from the very, very tip of it to the very, very end is already full. And I think what we're going to do is get a Penske truck because Peter loves to drive. And just fill that up because I've got people here that can load and people there that will unload. So I think because last time when I moved out here, we did a moving company and they lost some of my stuff and some of it was just really sentimental value. And I just kind of didn't want to go that route again. But I've had plenty of time. I've really just had plenty of time to pack. And with Hannah not at the house anymore, I don't have as much stuff. So it's still a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I've been packing for 4 weeks. So,
Wow. Did you find a house?
Yes, a beautiful farmhouse on 200 acres in Alet.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and right next door, and the woman owns a dog kennel. So when I go out of town, I've got someone right next door if the dogs can't come with me. And it's also a nice little boarding facility. It's beautiful, and the area is beautiful, and it's on 200 acres, and I will have no neighbors. Yeah, it's and how it's been completely redone. It's such a neat little house, great story, but they've done it from the studs out, and it's just beautiful. So you'll see it sooner than later.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know, I can't wait either.
Well, we have a great show coming up. Lots of interesting topics.
I know, good stuff. Good stuff. I can't wait to hear it.
And we have Glenn joining us tonight instead of Jennifer, which will please Hedwig
yes,
unbelievably.
Can't wait to hear
so
that.
We're really glad to have Glenn, and
it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yes, it has.
It's been a while. Jennifer's up at Road to the Horse. We sent her to do work up there, so I was stuck with Hedwig. I mean, I get the pleasure of talking to Hedwig. That's what I meant to say.
Well, at least he didn't say he was stuck with us, Tigger, because then
no,
we
I
would
like
have
you
to,
guys.
You'd have to boss him around for an hour. Oh, wait, we'll do that anyway.
That's right.
Join us. So our topic of the roundtable today is getting ready for fly season.
Ew. What do you mean getting ready?
It's already here in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were more flies in Florida than I remember from last year, but I think it's because it was just so hot and not a lot of rain. But it got me thinking on the long road back to Virginia.
Or to South Carolina.
Where I had to spend a day. What do we do to get ready for it? And, having a snowstorm helps. Mm-hmm. Having really cold temperatures in the winter helps. But eventually the flies come out. And I am a big fly predator user.
Yeah, yep. Well, I am too. That was what I was going to say.
And I started using diatomaceous earth.
Yeah, okay, because I have heard about that. And how do you do it? How do you use it?
I sprinkle it in the stalls, and I sprinkle it around the barn. And evidently, if a fly lands on it and it gets it on its little feet, and then it touches it to its mouth, when it goes into its gut, it splinters it.
Wow.
That's
a graphic scene.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like flies, but wow, Tig.
Well,
blowing them up from the inside.
Yep.
It's little sea creatures of millions of years ago, and it's their parts, and it tears at the intestines of a fly when they swallow it, like a shard. Not charred, a shard, or a Chardonnay.
Either way, it pretty much rips them up inside. Let's just go ahead and get to the point.
They're toast.
Yeah,
now,
there you go.
Last year, I imported some praying mantises.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And where do you import them from?
That was my question.
On the internet, you can buy praying mantises in their little cocoons.
Okay.
How many of those do you need to kill any amount of flies?
Well, actually, they eat a lot. They consume a lot.
I'll tell you what, it just takes one to freak me out. I've always been so enamored by them, but they scare.
One of my favorite bugs.
They're one of my favorite bugs too. But you walk around the corner and you have one like hanging off the edge, and you're eye to eye with it. I'm just telling you, you may poop in your pants a little bit. Not that I have.
I
agree.
agree.
Just saying. Thank you. It just scares me. I mean, I don't know. Okay, sorry.
Do you know that they eat their mates?
Yes. Again,
I love that
scary.
About them.
You do.
You would.
Okay. We got to make a couple phone calls when we're done here, Glenn. Just saying.
But they only eat the males. The females eat the males. The males don't eat the females.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
But not for me.
Are you noticing a trend here,
Yeah,
Glenn?
yes,
with her,
I am. What state do you live in again? I hope it's far away from me.
Again. Okay. Okay. So how many do you
the
get?
Water in the penny.
I was just going to say that one, but can we go back to the praying mantis for a second? So how many do you have to get?
Well, I'm not really sure because I started with I think 6, and 3 hatched.
Okay.
And, I can't tell you how many bugs they ate, but you put them in certain areas. And I have to say those certain areas had, a lot less bugs.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. It sounds a little bit, so what about the praying mantis? And we should explain fly predators because there could be some listeners that don't know what we're talking about, because fly predators are really, they're wonderful. And they're basically from isn't it called Spalding Labs, I think?
Yes.
And you go online and you tell them how many horses you have and blah, blah, blah. And you actually have to get them before the season really starts. I mean, this would be a little bit too soon because this would freeze their little bodies. And Tigger could go into more of a description because she seems to be in that mood. But anyway, and then you put them around your manure and they come in a bag and I guess it would take about a day for them to sort of hatch and get ready. And then you put them around the manure pile and anywhere where, light or the sun or water would be. We just always put it around the perimeter of the barn. And then you're supposed to do it, I guess, about every month.
Every month.
Yeah. And you keep doing the same thing, which is it's really quite good.
You just go on auto ship and they send you the little predators every month.
Yeah. So they're terrific. So my question is, what about the praying mantises? Well, actually, the fly predators are little wasps.
Yeah.
Not stinging wasps.
Have a very short lifespan.
Right.
The mantis at least lives longer than a month. And if you're lucky that they, actually mate with another mantis and you have children.
Before they're eaten by the bird in the barn.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it with you two? Okay. I'm getting all excited about maybe ordering a praying mantis online.
How much do praying mantises cost anyway?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How much do they cost?
I don't remember.
I'm looking it up. Keep going. I'll find it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But you need to order more than one because if they don't hatch.
Right.
So you need to sort of stack the deck on the praying mantises.
What was it that your parents used to say about killing praying mantises? There was something they used to say.
It was illegal. That's what I was always told.
Yeah, it was illegal. That's right.
Yes. That is so funny you bring, because that has been the stigma for me, is that probably why I'm so afraid of them, and because they are somewhat frightening. But yeah, I was always told. Did you ever hear that, Tigger?
Never.
Oh, I heard that all the time. Hey, I found them on Amazon. You can buy praying mantis egg case, 2 extra large egg cases with hatching habitat bag. You even get the habitat bag.
I mean, who doesn't want to do that? It's better than an ant farm.
It is, and it is $5.22. Now you can get the extra large habitat bag with 5 of them in there for $10.74.
So I'm thinking for $20 you can eradicate flies. I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, it's in addition to everything else.
Right. Okay. Your fly predators,
the Amish fly repellent.
The Amish.
Yeah, the bag with the coin in it.
With the penny in it. Okay, so we've got to explain what that is. Because remember, Tigger, we used to do that at Farfield, and I really do believe that worked.
You explain it.
Well, the idea of it is so you get a little Ziploc bag. Have you ever heard this, Glenn?
No, and I grew up in Leicester County, Amish country, Pennsylvania.
Okay, well, the idea behind it is, and I may mess some of this up, but it's you fill up a little Ziploc bag and you put a penny at the bottom of it. And to flies, it seems like a very large predator. So the penny is supposed to kind of resemble an eye. And we in our barn in Virginia would do this, and we would put it above certain doors or some of the stalls.
Next to each stall.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly do feel like it helped. I think, I was initially told just doing it without the penny, but the penny in there.
Penny makes a big difference.
Yep. So that's
so it's like kind of like a scarecrow for flies.
Yes,
exactly. It's a scare bag.
I highly recommend too, while you're on Amazon ordering your praying mantises, they have the Praying Mantis Ultimate Care Guide. It's a paperback that's available for $12.97. Everything you need to know about looking after your praying mantises and giving them the best possible life.
And if you think about it, if we can get every listener to just buy one of those and they'll be on the bestsellers list. Okay.
That's true.
But more importantly, it's a more ecological way to deal. I mean, I do not use any herbicides, pesticides, insecticides at all.
Well, and there's also, and then another thing to talk about too is like feed through things that you can do with your horse, like garlic. I'm sure you have other recommendations too. But
now in another month, in April, at least in the southern East Coast, is the time to start springtime garlic. We want to start it before the fly season.
Do we want to start feeding it or growing it? What are you talking about?
Feeding it.
Okay.
Springtime is a company.
Okay.
Yeah, and most horses have no problem eating it. It's very good. But here's the thing that I've always been told is that you can't just do 1 or 2 horses. You got to do them all.
All.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's not that expensive, and it's not like, if people go, oh, I'm just going to do my own garlic or put garlic powder in their horses. It's not the same thing. You have to have the right amount.
So what do you
Yeah.
use? Because or do I have to peel all the little things and smash them?
No, you
No.
go to
Okay.
Springtime Feed and order their bulk garlic for horses.
Is it like a powder? Garlic
Yep.
powder? Okay. And then if you get hungry, you can make garlic bread.
Correct.
You could, and no flies will be around you, which is. But start now, Glenn. So
and another thing I do, which is really, it's sort of disgusting, but I do use those fly bait traps.
Oh yeah, they are gross, but they do work.
But they do work. I don't like the strips because that's just gross. That's even grosser. But
at least they don't smell.
We use the traps here, and the problem with the traps is you're right. After about 2 weeks, it's like, oh my God, you can't walk near them.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
no, they
gross.
smell terrible.
Yeah, it's
but
fly
if you
carnage
do put them away, if you put them away far enough, and you're doing this other stuff that we're talking about, you don't have to put them so close to the barn. You can put them out by the manure pile. I mean, because it obviously attracts flies. The biggest thing that I will suggest, though, if you put it away, that you're not walking by it every day, do check it, because they get nasty. And I'm not talking about the flies turn into other things.
Yeah.
I have found them full of maggots. So you've got to get them, out away from everything. But that's it. That's also another good thing that I learned being down here. And it's kind of in between of how expensive it is. But if you do have a fly spray system, I mean, the worst thing I think in the world is having a fly spray system that you're putting toxic stuff, because think about what you're doing to your own skin, right? Your own skin, everything is, and
or
think
you're
about
breathing it.
Well, but and the horses, so we leave for the day, even though it's still on us, and then they get sprayed, through the rest of the night. But I have been told to use like thieves oil, which, and I think that one of the companies
diluted, or do you use it straight?
Well, you can't use it straight, because if you do a fly spray system, that's obviously quite large, but I think you can get it in large jugs. But if you go to off Young Living, I think they have a section in their website, or if you have a Young Living representative, they can tell you how to do it. But you have to dilute it a little bit, because it would be too costly. But that does work. And it doesn't last long, but if you do that with the garlic, if you're going out on a trail ride and you're trying to, get rid of mosquitoes and not just the flies, it does help a little bit. And it's an oil, so it stays on a little bit. So you dilute it. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly the, measurements, but I can find that out.
Do you think when you're on a trail ride and the non-garlic horses go, oh God, he stinks?
No.
or do you think they look at the other one and they're like, wow, they've got no flies on them. What's up with that? What did my mom do or not do? So that's another good thing too, is if you're trail riding, ear bonnets are great for like.
Yes, they are.
They're great. And they even have riding fly masks that, you can ride in over the bridle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's some that aren't as they're looser, so they're not as close fitting, and you can easily put them over the bridle. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you can find them at like Schneider or whatever, but they're the bigger ones. And that's nice because sometimes you get out in the middle of the day and some of those, whether it's mosquitoes or those big horse flies or whatever, if they're buzzing around, at least you can protect their face.
And another thing that I really like is Equiderma, the neem and aloe herbal fly insect repellent spray.
Equiderma, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's just essential oils and neem and aloe, so there's no pyrethrine. Yeah,
I actually have that, and I used it here. And this is Bug Central. If anybody ever wondered where all the bugs come from, they come from where I live right now in Richmond, Texas. That's where they all breed here, and then they go to other places in the world. But there's so many here. But that particular, it's kind of a creamy color. It's not a right. It's a wonderful product. I love that.
And I don't know if you can get it on Amazon, but I know you can get it through SmartPack too.
And you can get it on Amazon.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
The worst. Where's the worst mosquitoes you've ever seen? Mine was Michigan. It was.
I agree.
Oh my God.
I agree. Yeah. Never in my life. And the thing that's funny about
the size of my hand.
Well, the thing there is the lifespan there is so short. So they get out, they grow big, and they land hard.
Yeah.
And seriously, little dogs I've seen fly through the air and they're picked up by mosquitoes.
We were on a party boat one night, having a party, like 20 of us on this big boat, and they all sat, and the sun was going down, and we were on a lake, and they said, you need to get inside before the sun goes down over the horizon. And I was like, why? And sure enough, sun went down over the horizon, and you were attacked, literally attacked. Everybody ran for the inside. It was awful.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I had forgotten about that, how big they are there.
So we feel for all of you living in Michigan in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have any of your own helpful keep the flies away tips, please let us know at healthycrittersradio.com.
Hedwig!
Hello.
How are you?
Eddie.
How are you?
I'm well, then. Thank you. It's very nice to speak with you again.
Oh, it's not. You hate me. You know that. You're lying right now.
Well, I'm trying to be polite.
Well, I have a question.
I've been told I must be polite because you're important or something.
You don't believe that, do you? Really? I mean, seriously, Hedwig?
I mean, no.
So, Hedwig, I used to own a little dog. I actually owned two.
I know you did. And that poor little dog.
I know. Well, the problem with little dogs I found is that they are freaking annoying. Why are little dogs so annoying?
Why are humans so stupid?
Oh, gosh.
So, no answer?
I have a query, though, for you, Glenn.
Oh, what's that?
Did your little dog die of despair because you were untrainable?
You might have actually.
Point, Glenn.
We never knew what killed that little dog, so it might be true, Hedwig.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have been that. Just saying. Not judging at all. So judging. I am so judging.
But they are loud. Little dogs are loud. They bark all the time. And
big dogs are really loud too, Glenn.
I have a greyhound that hasn't barked in the entire 6 years we've had her.
Do you think it's because she was afraid how the little dog died? Sorry.
Thank you for that one.
I was taking no sides, guys. I just thought it was more of a question. You can answer later.
Yeah, good point. Important thing to consider, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a story, though, to tell you people about my brother.
Oh, go ahead.
Although I want to begin by saying that this story is due to Tiggle and affects me.
Oh. I can't wait to hear what she did.
Tiggle left raw food and told our servant that we should be given this food because it's perfect and wonderful for dogs. And so the servant, clearly in an effort to kill us, did this.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent last night being vilely, horribly sick. But I'm sure you're pleased to hear that I'm fine.
Yes, that was my next question.
I know that it was. But my brother has not eaten since then. And he just jumped up on the servant. She was reading a, what's the word? Long, boring dissertation. And she was reading this dissertation, and the brother jumped up on her chest and then vomited all over her.
Again, little dogs are annoying. Just saying.
That was a perfect story, Hetty. That was a perfect story. Well, if you think about it, though, Glenn, wouldn't you rather have a little dog thrown up on you rather than a big dog?
Good point. Okay, I'll take that.
Volume is key in this story. Volume is key.
My brother is much bigger than me. He is a Valhund or feral gerbil.
Feral gerbil. Okay. But he's not too big. Isn't he about the size of maybe a corgi, sort of?
He's about 28 pounds.
There.
A fat corgi.
Lighter now.
Fat. He's lighter now. I certainly hope he is.
But I'd just like to point out that Tiggle, who's supposed to be a nutritional expert, basically tried to kill us again. And really, after I survived eating a chocolate rabbit just the other day, this seemed like an excessive effort on Tigger's part because the rabbit didn't make me sick at all.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was fine, no problem with the rabbit.
Yeah, well, your system's probably used to that. Eating raw food, you're kind of getting all that crap out, no pun intended.
Yes, well, thank you for that image, because if you'd like to know, we spent much of last night on the lawn, which my servant then got to clean up this morning.
Yeah. Well,
imagine her enthusiasm for this task.
All I can say, Tigger, is don't answer phone calls from Hedwig or her servant for the next at least 3 days.
Well, the interesting thing is, my dogs have been eating raw for a long time, and they don't have that kind of reaction. I was thinking of it more as
and yet give them a chocolate bunny, and they're sick as dogs. Pardon the expression.
Which we don't encourage you to do with your dog, regardless of what Hedwig says.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Give everybody,
throw the disclaimer in there on benefit of the Horse Radio
technically-
Network. We don't advise that.
Yeah. Do not listen to Hedwig.
Do not listen to a talking Pomeranian, people.
If I could just go on the record for 1 second, though, I was falsely accused of stealing that rabbit, but I didn't.
Oh, was it in your
steal it.
mouth?
It was my sister was face down in the rabbit, and I had just a big chunk of rabbit. But I think my sister was really culpable in this case.
Okay. But you still did have the chocolate in your mouth? But it was in your mouth.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just a question. There's no judgment here, Hetty. I'm just asking.
You should see how wired she was
at the moment,
she ate it.
we have a relationship. Let's not ruin it.
Yes, I apologize.
See, that I'm at an advantage because we don't have a relationship.
Like Glenn.
Yeah, there's nothing to ruin, so we're fine. It's easy.
Yeah. No, I'm standing back in the corner, Hedwig. No big deal. I'll shut up.
You don't want me to treat you like I treat Glenn.
No, I don't.
Hedwig would so throw up in my lap if she had the chance. No question.
I would never do that, Glenn.
Yes.
You know why? Because I would never be in your lap.
All righty. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Hetty.
I would send the feral gerbil to do it for me.
Another servant. Well, Hetty, thank you for every image that you gave us and such a great story.
It's no problem. Sometimes I just like to narrate my daily life for the joy of others.
Well,
we appreciate it, Hetty.
Well done. Well done.
Bye.
No
Bye,
problem.
Hetty.
Bye.
So we are now at our Tigopedia part of our program, and I thought a very good question for you, Tiggy, would be getting horses onto spring grass. It's been in Houston, we've had a lot of rain and it's starting to get warm, and I'm starting to see horses coming in with bigger bellies, and some of these horses are horses that have never had a problem, but it's a good time to tell listeners about what to do if you've had horses that get a little plump on grass and what you do about it. How do you get them onto it?
So I would say for the ones that are, insulin resistant, metabolic, you really got to introduce it slowly.
Yes.
Like a half an hour and then an hour. And because the sugars and starches are, sky high in the spring. The grass is the tastiest.
Mm-hmm.
I do recommend muzzles for the horses that have to spend more time out, either by necessity or because, actually it's much better for them to be out and moving around.
Sure.
I love Joyce Harmon's muzzle. It's soft. It's not like having a big clanking cage on the horse's mouth. And you can find her, Joyce Harmon. I think it's Harmony Equine.
Okay, I'm going to look that up. That's good to know.
And these are really great, light, lot of air in these muzzles. You do want to be very mindful of things like magnesium and chromium. If you've got an easy keeper, you might want to increase the magnesium, and if they're not on chromium, add a chromium supplement.
Okay.
That's a good regulator of sugar. You can find that in Biostar's optimum healthy weight.
Okay.
And just use your common sense. Now, I have horses out on pasture 24/7. So when the spring grass comes up, even though I have some easy keepers, they have never become laminitic. They've never become Cushings. They're out all the time moving. And my grass is not heavily fertilized. So the one thing that you want to think of, not only this spring, but in coming springs, is you don't need a rich pasture. Horses have survived on the crappiest grass, like the Mustangs. The importance is the diversity. So if you've got your fields planted in, wonderful Kentucky bluegrass or fantastic orchard grass, make sure you add some other plants and not, toxic ones, obviously. If you go to New Country Organics online, they have what's called an herbal ley, and it's a mixture of herbs that the horses will eat. And I plant it along my fence lines. First of all, so I don't have to mow them. And second of all, because the horses, if they feel like eating a little fennel or wanting a little of this, they can just go over and munch on it.
Right.
So I'm all for, native grasses, which tend not to have as much sugar, and just being smart about it.
So you said native grasses don't have as much sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that.
And the thing is, when you got a horse that already, even in early spring, is showing signs of inflammation, meaning they're getting a bigger belly, really check their feet.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And increase the exercise. Help them burn it off. And the other thing to consider to add to help is to add the Himalayan Shilajit, because that is a mitochondria balancer. And remember, the mitochondria are responsible for metabolism. So that would be Biostar's Impulsion or Biostar's Quantum.
That's
and
good
keep them moving.
Yeah.
Exercise is a key to using sugar and fat. And don't starve them, whatever you do. If you're taking them, you're letting them have grass for an hour, make sure they've got hay for 20 hours.
Right. And I think the biggest thing is that everybody thinks they always need to, like you said, fertilize the fields. Then they end up making it very rich. And first off, you're putting a lot of chemicals and crap on your grass, which is what, you really want to try to avoid anyway. But I think that's the biggest thing. But just making sure you have a good quality hay that can, help balance out.
And, some horses just have to be on dry lots.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not a lot, but there are those that just cannot tolerate.
They're fatty pants. Yeah.
The sugar.
Yeah.
So, but exercise is the key. Circulation is really, really, really important. And
especially
keeping a horse locked up in a box is just not the best way to increase circulation.
Agreed. Well, cool. So be smart. Don't put them out for too long when you're starting into it, especially. And the problem is it can happen overnight and people don't generally think about it. But, watching what the grass looks like, checking their feet if you have any concern, but moving them around, and don't back off this time of year. If you're going to do anything, ride more.
Yeah.
It takes a long time for the grass to start to get dry and lose all the sugars in it, which generally don't even happen until, in Houston, it happens in a week, but in Virginia, grass can be unbelievable until well past August. I used to have a quarter horse that you never met, Tigger, that could founder on winter grass. He just was one of those horses. Yep, he was a true dry lot horse. There was just no way around it.
And don't forget the muzzle. It's for these easy keepers. It's a lifesaver.
Yeah, and they still can be out and move,
and they still can be out and moving around.
Yep, and I like this. I just looked it up, but I've seen this before. It's a softer muzzle that it doesn't come with a halter, right? You put it on a halter.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, wonderful. That's good advice. Thank you, Miss Tiggy.
You're welcome. And now we're at Critter Nutrition. And I'm going to talk about colostrum, bovine colostrum. What I want to talk about is that all colostrum products are not alike. As more research demonstrates the health benefits of bovine colostrum for horses, dogs, and humans, more companies are coming to the market with colostrum supplements. But not all bovine colostrum is alike, and information on most of these products is heavy on marketing, but light on what's actually important when choosing colostrum. There's a standard of potency with bovine colostrum. Certain foods have a standard of potency, like live probiotics, which are measured in colony-forming units, known as CFUs, while bovine colostrum is measured in IgG, which is the immunoglobulin G content. Colostrum for mare milk replacement for foals ranges from 45 to 60% IgG. Many companies do not provide the IgG information, but I have found through research that most colostrum supplements supply 15% IgG. Biostar's colostrum is 38% IgG, and we provide that information on the label as well as on our colostrum product webpage. If you are looking at a supplement with colostrum in it and then there is no information on IgG percentage, it is important to contact the company and find out, because lower IgG is like lower CFUs in probiotics. You have to feed so much more for the same result. The ethics of colostrum. The ethics of collecting bovine colostrum from cows varies widely. It is a known fact that many farms in the dairy industry separate the newborn calf from its mother somewhere between 1 and 48 hours from birth. The calf, if male, often winds up in the veal industry, and the mother cow experiences high levels of stress looking and bellowing for her calf. Female calves are separated from the herd and raised for the next generation of dairy cows. In India, this practice is not allowed because cows are sacred animals and should never be consumed for meat. The calves are kept with their mothers. Some small dairies and dairy cooperatives in the UK, New Zealand, Germany, the US, and Canada are slaughter-free, and the calves are kept with their mothers until they are 9 to 10 months old. This practice reduces stress on calves and cows, and according to Dharma Lee Farm in Sharon Springs, New York, produces better milk and healthier cows. Biostar colostrum comes from a small organic dairy cooperative in Canada. The calves stay with their mothers, weaning at 10 months of age. No colostrum is collected until 24 to 36 hours after birth to ensure the calf gets all the colostrum it needs. The dairy cooperative does not provide calves for the veal industry. Conventional dairies. When colostrum is listed as an ingredient on a label, there is no way to ascertain how the cows are taken care of. The fact is, the majority of U.S. dairy operations rely on indoor systems to house and feed the cows. These indoor systems often keep cows in tie stalls, on concrete, or tethered by the neck to stanchions. Other indoor systems are concrete floored cubicles separated from each other by metal bars in a space averaging 7.8 feet by 3.9 feet, barely enough room to lie down. These animals do not get to go outside and graze on grass as a herd. Some operations have dry lots which are unpaved but provide no grazing. Like horses, cows are social creatures who form relationships within the herd. When they are separated, confined, and isolated, stress results, leading to increased plasma levels of the stress hormone cortisol. The diet of cows on conventional dairy farms is soy and corn, hay, straw, and sometimes silage. Also common in conventional dairies is the use of RBGH, recombinant bovine growth hormone, originally genetically engineered and manufactured by Monsanto to increase a cow's milk production. The EU, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada have banned the use of RGBH due to animal and human health concerns. One of the many downsides of using RGBH is an increase in the need for more antibiotics. Cows that are confined in close proximity and under stress are more prone to infections. Around 80% of the antibiotics used in the U.S. are administered to livestock preemptively before an animal shows any sign of illness. The organic grass-fed RBGH and antibiotic-free dairy cooperative in Canada that Biostar purchases colostrum from is certified organic, antibiotic-free, RBGH free, and the cows are out on pasture for 6 months of the year. In the winter, the cows are in barns and go out in the dry lots with hay, weather permitting. In organic dairies, forage and hay make up most of the diet, and additional feed must be non-GMO and grown without the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides. Colostrum is a therapeutic food. With over 80 different immune factors and 70 different growth factors, bovine colostrum is an important food for providing therapeutic benefits that include regulation of the thymus gland, which is the master gland of the immune system, providing the immunoglobulins and the assistance with cellular tissue repair. There are some horses and dogs with ongoing immune challenges such as allergies, EPM, and Lyme disease, so daily administration of colostrum is important. For many other horses and dogs, colostrum is used on an as-needed basis for healing a suspensory or wound, or providing various kinds of much-needed support for uveitis, for non-sweaters, for an immune system that's under stress from showing and shipping, or for fighting viral and bacterial infections in conjunction with traditional veterinary protocol and medications. Once the horse or dog is healed, colostrum therapy is no longer needed. Having worked with bovine colostrum for a decade, I do profoundly disagree with companies that recommend colostrum as if it were a multivitamin mineral. That is, using it every day, even in animals without any health challenges. Colostrum is a therapeutic food that should be used as needed when needed. Unless there is a chronic condition, colostrum should be stopped when the health issue is resolved. We want the body to return to homeostasis. I keep bovine colostrum on hand all the time. During this virulent past flu season, I took it every day and never got sick. Now that the flu epidemic is over, I've stopped taking it. I give it to my dogs when they travel and when we are in Florida, where their immune systems can get quite challenged with the different bacteria of tropical climates. I give it to my retired horses if I notice a snotty nose or a cough. I also give it to support wound healing and if a dog or horse has a connective tissue or muscle tissue strain. But I don't give it as a daily food day in and day out like a multivitamin mineral. If you are purchasing colostrum, ask questions and find out about the company's ethics. How is it collected? How are the cows cared for? Supplement labeling laws do allow descriptions of colostrum such as antibiotic-free and RGBH-free. Are you seeing these used on companies' labels? Colostrum is a super therapeutic food. Make sure your horse or dog is getting high-quality IgG colostrum that is ethically sourced.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
So now we're at Coffee Clatch. And we're going to talk about tips on traveling with dogs, including the do's and don'ts. And this is come because I just traveled from Florida to Virginia with 2 dogs. So it's very fresh in my mind.
Yes.
And I was at a truck stop this morning gassing up, and it was really cold. The wind was blowing, and this woman gets out of her car with a big white pit bull in a harness, and she's walking the dog around, and I don't even have my dogs out of the car yet because I'm just keeping my eye on her. And she walks the dog for about 1.5 minutes, and then she's trying to lift this enormous white pit bull into a truck by herself. and she's hoisting it in, and it slips the harness, and it starts running through the parking lot.
Ugh.
Now, mind you, it's a truck stop, so there's trucks and cars, and she's screaming bloody murder, and I absolutely understand why.
Yes.
And luckily, some guy caught the dog, and she got the wasn't even in a collar; it just had this harness, and then the guy hoisted it into the truck. But it was a real reminder to me that if you're going to travel with dogs, make sure that their collars or their harnesses fit properly.
Yeah.
Because they could get away from you and get freaked out so easily.
Oh,
and the dog didn't have a collar. It was just in a harness. So that's my first tip.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Tigger, I have also done that trip with many animals. And the first thing I think of is doing it with all of Mercy's puppies coming back from Florida. But the first thing I always think of doing any traveling anywhere, especially if you have a smaller dog, is, put it when they're younger, or if they can't be in a place where they're truly, truly safe. There's so many things that they make for the back of your car. I always put my dogs in, if they're small, I would put them in crates so that I knew that they won't, if something were to happen, you slam on the brakes, they don't go flying through the windshield. That's like my number one fear. But they do have these things, and I fix my crate in the seatbelt. Like, I don't just leave it sitting on the bench of, I have a truck. So, but they do make these other contraptions where it's kind of a little bit of a soft box, and you can actually hook it to a harness. Because I recommend, if you're going to let a dog loose in a car when you're traveling, do have a harness, because if you do somehow have them attached, the chances of them getting choked if something happens, if you have to slam on the brake, can be greater. A harness, you're a little safer. So you can put them in, it's like a little, have you seen them, Tigger? They're like little things you attach to the back of your seat, and it's really comfortable for them. And they have, put a little bed in there, whatever, and you just hook to the harness so they can get up, they can move around. It's like being in a crate, but they're fixed to the seatbelt. So that's one of my biggest recommendations. And that way, they're comfortable. And if something were to happen, you don't have to worry about them, flying off a seat, through the windshield. On a brighter note, I was trying to be positive. But anyway, it's a great idea. There you go. What other tips do you have?
Water.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, water. Tons of water.
Mine will not drink water out of a bowl when they're traveling.
Oh, that's interesting.
In the car, out of the car, no. They will only drink it out of a plastic water bottle.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Just because that's what you've always done?
No, I always offer them water in a bowl as well. And this time I just said, okay, this is ridiculous. I keep pouring water into a bowl, and all you guys want to do is drink it out of the bottle.
So maybe they think it's fun. Maybe it's like their little treat. When you used to be traveling when you were a kid, and you always got to, stop at your favorite store along the way. Maybe that's their thing. It's like candy to them. They get to drink out of the water bottle.
Maybe they're hoping that it's a little more than water coming up.
If it were Hedwig, she would hope it was cheese.
That's true. But when, the first day from Wellington into South Carolina is a good 10 hours. And I'm driving along, and I think I'm just out of Georgia and getting into South Carolina, and I hear this gnawing sound, and I can tell that it's little teeth on plastic, and then I hear the crinkle of a water bottle.
Uh-oh.
And I said, Wookie, leave it, because I knew it was her.
Because, Sabi's like, oh my gosh, can you believe her?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So I get to a gas station, and I open the back door, and she has unscrewed the water bottle. Yeah. Now, fortunately, she didn't eat the top. Mm-hmm. She just carefully, and there wasn't enough water left in the bottle for it to fall out. But that was a reminder to me, do not put the plastic water bottle in the back with the dogs.
Yeah, with the puppy. Yeah.
Especially with a puppy. Not a good plan.
Not a good plan. That's kind of funny.
I always carry a little, emergency medical kit,
Mm-hmm.
and extra food. And sometimes I go, this is so stupid, Tigger. You're going to be there tomorrow. I mean, why are you packing all this? Well, this time I was caught by a snowstorm, so I had to stay over an extra day in South Carolina. And thank God I had enough food.
It's funny because I travel every month. I go to San Antonio and I always bring Burke with me, and I always do the same thing every time. I always bring a little extra food just in case, and not that, nothing has ever happened. There's always something where you're like, oh, you stay over one more night and you don't know why. And you really don't want to go when you're already stressing your dogs out by traveling if they're not used to it, and change their dog food. So that's a very smart thing to do. I always bring a little extra. I feed my dog kibble, but I also feed raw. But I always bring a little extra just in case he doesn't want to eat when traveling, because sometimes it stresses him. Which then, if you know your dog gets stressed, you can always give him a little Theracom.
I would not travel without Biostar Theracom Canine.
Yeah.
Because when you get into a hotel room with two Australian Shepherds who've been locked up in a car all day, they want to
with a woman who doesn't drink. So just saying.
They want to bust loose. And taking them on a walk is like
not what you want to do.
Well, you have to take them for a walk, but that isn't enough. They want to play, they want to run, they want to romp in the hotel room. So I found Theracom to be mighty good to have as a little treat to just bring all that extra energy down to a reasonable level.
Mm-hmm. Good thinking, Tigger.
Yeah, I would not go anywhere without it.
Yeah. Well, because traveling with, when they're used to it, they became like second nature. My dogs are always used to going in the car, but whenever you're starting to travel with puppies or anything like that, it's always a good thing to think of all these extra things. If a lot of people get in the car, they go with their dogs, they don't think anything about it, and they get motion sickness, all sorts of other things. So these are all great tips for making you aware of those things.
Yeah, and actually, Theracom works great on motion sickness.
Well, that's
you have to give it, a good half hour before you go anywhere, but because it's not instant. But that's how I got Crockett out of his car sickness.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. Okay, that's good to know. So I just had a thought because, as I'm getting ready to make a trip from Texas to Virginia, what about cats? Can you give Theracom to cats? Never even thought about that.
I have not thought about that.
Well, that's something to think about, Tigger. And you have a month to figure that out.
I would go with the Bach Flower Rescue Remedy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because my cats travel well, but they haven't done it in a while. So
can I say something here about Theracom? That is something that was presented to us by the gods. Because the gods of Tiggerland, I guess. Because I'll tell you what,
it's called Rally World, but we'll get into that later.
We had those nasty storms that came through the South earlier in the week, and came through. We had 2 days of storms and heavy rains, and like 7 inches of rain, and it's just storm after storm. And Gloria, our greyhound, is just a mess when it's time for storms. Any loud noises, and Theracom, we gave her 2 Theracoms in the morning. Fine. 2 Theracoms before bed. Fine. She just settles down and we don't even have to use the Thundershirt.
That's awesome.
The Theracom truly works for this dog. And we give her 2. I don't know how many you're supposed to give her, but we give her 2 and that seems to do the trick.
Well, that's awesome.
Love that stuff, Tigger. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I have to order more.
Glenn.
I know that my daughter has the same. She's in Wellington and gives it to her dog all the time. Same story. So it's a very well worth product.
And the one thing that I did on this trip that I've never done before, and I'm really grateful that I did, was I'm driving alone, so there's no other human if there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a little Google search before I left of veterinarians in major areas along my route.
Interesting.
Because it would be very hard for me to be driving and doing a Google search if I had an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wanted to know, for my peace of mind,
where you could stop.
Where I could stop.
Yeah. That's a good thing to think of, Tigger, because as you know, I have an older dog that as I'm traveling cross country, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Well, good tip.
And if you've got any great tips for traveling with dogs, my dogs like books on tape. It puts them into a deep sleep, and I'm listening, just totally keyed in, and they're zoned out. Music can make them more, hyped. I would say animated, but they're more awake and but boy,
another recommendation would be any of the Horse Radio Network shows. Probably will put them right to sleep too.
Or if you need to keep going and being entertained, Horse Radio Network. Just saying.
That's right.
If you've got any great tips for traveling with dogs, please let us know on healthycrittersradio.com.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookiee.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.